much, Miss Kristen, for that beautiful introduction. I'm going to tell a little story, and then we're going to talk about these handouts. So yesterday I meet a new client that I had never met. It was a referral from a friend of mine who became my client and was so happy with the result of what I was able to do for him that now he's telling everybody, and this is one of them. So I met Bobby yesterday, and when I walked in, he was a little reluctant to even talk to me. He says, well, I know Craig says that you're the best and this and that, but why do I need a tenant rep? I negotiated my current lease. This is my fourth lease that I've negotiated. I said, you're right, you don't need a tenant rep. You want a tenant rep. You want somebody on your side of the table. You want somebody to negotiate that knows what they're talking about leases, about the marketplace, about the details, about what makes the difference between you're paying this much money or that much money. And he says, well, okay, I said, okay, let's just compare places, for instance. How much are you paying right now for your place? So he tells me, I write it down. How many square feet do you have? I write it down. I said, of that rent, how much of that is actual base rent and how much of that is expenses? He says, I don't know. I said, okay, that's something you should know. You should know how much your actual rent is, because that's the only negotiable part of your rent. So he says, okay, hold on a minute. He went and he got his invoice, and in the invoice it's itemized, so I was able to break it out, and I saw that he's paying close to $7 a square foot. Now this is warehouse space in Norcross, a very, very competitive market. So I said, okay, hold on 1 minute. I pulled up my iPad, which you've all seen, and I said, right now, and he said, well, I don't need space right now. I said, I know, your lease isn't up until November, but that's okay. But if you were to look for space right now, I could get you 50% more space than you've got right now for the same rent you're paying. 50% more, half more than they have for not $1 more than they're paying now. So he says, oh my God. He said, well, this is why you want the tenant. All of a sudden he became my friend. Bob is my buddy now. He says, when can we start? When can we start? I want to start looking. I said, it's a little early. You can't negotiate now for something that starts in November. But we will get to it. Let's talk about this again in June, and then we can start negotiating and finding the right place for you. So, by now you should all have the reasons to use tenant representation. Tenant representation, as I mentioned earlier, is business space specialty. It is the art of negotiating the very best transaction for an owner when the owner especially is not a specialist in this field. As most business owners are, they have their own businesses. In fact, I've negotiated space for real estate companies because they do residential sales, for instance. They don't do a commercial business space. So they knew they needed a specialist. So, you should too. Your friends and colleagues who own businesses should have someone on their side of the table. As I said to people, in every real estate transaction, whether it be a lease or a sale, there's a table, whether imaginary or real, that you're sitting at. And you're either on one side of the table where you control the property, either by selling it or by leasing it, or you're on the other side of the table where you're trying to acquire the use of it by leasing it, or acquiring the ownership of it by buying it. So that table is in every transaction, and you know that you need somebody on your side of the table to negotiate on your behalf. So obviously I've been in business for a long time. I've been in commercial real estate for 24 years. Only 6 years ago I opened my company and I became a specialist. I had always been a generalist where I worked on one day I'd be working for the landlord, the next day I'd be working for the tenant, some days I'd be working for both, hopefully different clients, and because I never liked being in the middle. In the middle is a very tenuous situation, and I always actually refer it to somebody else, so it's because that way it's not a conflict of interest. So, as we go down the list, so tenant reps even the playing field. When you are negotiating with a business, with a landlord or a seller or a owner of a building to lease space, you're dealing with a professional. They are in this field to make money. In fact, every dollar they can make, they will. If they can make 50 cents more by leasing it to somebody else, guess what? You're out of there. So consider having somebody on your side of the field, on your side of the table, that is going to talk their language, know where the gotchas are in every lease, like I've talked about tax stops. Tax stops are one of the most boring items that there is in the real estate world, but it's a necessary evil. It's a starting point for the taxes when you begin your lease. 5 years later, if you don't adjust your tax stop to what that current is, you're paying additional costs of the taxes that you already paid in advance, and any increases over and above that. Like I said, it's boring, but it's real and it's money, and I've saved owners thousands of dollars a year sometimes by just adjusting the tax year on the new lease. Already 2 minutes left. I can't believe it. I wanted to leave time for questions. So, tenant reps understand how landlords think. I particularly know how landlords think because I was a landlord. I actually I was in charge of a property, 500,000 square feet, that had 220 leases. So every year we had 30 to 40 leases that were turning over, and plus any new clients that may walk in or that I reached out to. We understand how tenants think. I am a tenant. I know how I think. I know how much I despise having to pay even an extra 50 cents on my rent when I don't have to. So I know that I'm going to fight for every penny that I can in a new transaction. We understand the importance of location and amenities. You know, old line, you know, what are the 3 most important things in real estate? It's location, location, location. Well, amenities are the 4th. when you're renting, for instance, in a Class A office building, a nice office building, you want to know whether there's a gymnasium available to you because you're renting. You're not as well. You're paying for the use of it, whether you use it or not. A cafeteria possibly, or in a good location as far as restaurants nearby, etc. We can analyze your lease. We can look at your lease and see where your weak points are as far as a tenant, where you can negotiate a better transaction in a renewal if you should not want to move, or in a new move into a new location. We have relationships with professionals, contractors, insurance, attorneys, all types of related fields that tenants need. I have lists of people that I refer, and I'm not allowed to refer one specific person, so I am always giving them 2 or 3 different in whatever field they're going to need. Bottom line, when it comes time to lease business space or purchase business space, you want somebody on your side of the table who's a professional and will work on your side only. Consider me or anyone in our firm at First Global Realty. Thank you.
Please make sure to pass on a few board cards.